What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Drea. I'm here with
Skrilla Fresh.
and my homie Say.
What's up?
And today we're going to talk about life after incarceration and nice shit like that.
Let's
Okay.
get to it.
So Say, introduce yourself. You know what I'm saying? Where you was,
Where I'm from?
where you from, and what happened, like where you were incarcerated for.
Alright. This is Saquon from East New York, Linden Plaza, Building 5, you already know. I did 17 years for manslaughter in the first degree.
Yikes.
I went to prison at 17 years old. I came home a week before my 32nd birthday. Growing up in the hood, living that street life. I caught a body when I was young. Did the time, and I'm here now.
How you okay, so I want to ask you first, like when you were in the courtroom, right? And the verdict and everything came through, how did you feel?
So it was crazy. So I didn't even have a trial. So I wound up copping out. So I was originally charged with murder in the second degree. So I wound up copping out to manslaughter. So I can get less time, and so I don't have a life sentence behind it. So I can just get what they call a determinate sentence, right? Where you just do X amount of years. You get a certain amount of good time, as long as you don't catch no other cases inside, and then you come home. So for me, honestly, it sounds crazy. It was a relief, right? They put you through, I spent 3 years fighting the case. They put you through what's called bullpen.
You spent 3
therapy.
years while you were in jail?
In jail, on Rikers Island, fighting the case. They put you with, it's like bullpen therapy, they call it. You go to court, you got to wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. You get ready for court. You sitting in the bullpen with 50 other people until like 7, 8 in the morning. Then you finally go to court. You there all day long, all day, maybe till about 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. You get back to the jail. You sit in the bullpen again for another 2, 3 hours before you can even go back to your cell. That shit is torture. Going back and forth, back and forth. That shit is torture. And then you just get tired, and then it's just looming over your head that, I might spend, for me, if I would have got the maximum sentence, which I've seen a bunch of people blow in trial, my first opportunity to come home, I would have been 42. 42 or 43 years old, something like that. So being able to get offered a lesser sentence, I was trying to fight in the beginning, but knowing, listen, I'm guilty as shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And there was a possibility you might blow trial, right?
oh yeah, I think I definitely would. I seen dudes blow for less. I've seen dudes like, we be sitting there rooting for each other while we in there. Like, yo, I know this dude, he gonna get off. I seen all the evidence, and then he come back, yo, I blew trial. I got 25 to life.
Yikes.
It's rough. So that shit is like traumatizing. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna take this plea deal. I'm gonna get out in my early 30s, and I'm moving out. So it was a little relief to me that I didn't have to go through that. I know what I'm sentenced to. I know what I gotta do. Let me just get that shit over with.
Okay, so then when it happened, you felt like, okay, this is what they offered, and you just gotta go ahead and do the time or whatever.
Yeah, I had got other offers, but I was, like I said, I was trying to fight in the beginning, but then I just kept seeing dudes blow trial.
And you just say, let me take what they're gonna give you.
Yeah, let me just take it.
How many different facilities have you been to?
Was funny. I haven't been to that many facilities upstate. I went to Cadre in upstate Box, which is like a working facility, all the way up close to Canada. It's about maybe 20 minutes to Canada.
Yeah.
So all your radio stations, all your radio stations are Toronto stations and shit. You don't have there's no New York City stations.
Yeah.
Everything is Toronto stations, right? So I'm up there for a couple of years, and then I put in for a transfer. I went down to Sing Sing, which is the closest maximum facility prison in the state, closest to the city rather. I stayed in Sing Sing for 9.5 years. So I've really only been, besides like the transit facilities that you, when you going from jail to jail, like
You
downstate.
transferring
Yeah.
Right.
to where you're going to be
Yeah.
placed
Yeah.
at.
Or
Right?
sometimes you stop, you'll have a layover at another facility for a day or two, and then you'll go to your back to your facility if you going back and forth to court or whatever. Because it was still other cases I was fighting. Even when I went upstate for the body, I had other minor cases that I was fighting that I caught on Rikers Island.
What?
Yeah, so so coming, when you first come to prison, right? Especially when you come at 17, you in adolescence.
Yeah.
You're in juvenile dorm, rather. There is no such thing as not fighting, right?
Yeah.
If you don't fight, you're gonna get violated. You may not eat. Literally, like the food is served, but you might have chicken, mashed potatoes, and corn, and somebody's gonna give you a plate with corn on it, right? And tell you hold that down.
What?
Yeah, so, you gotta do what you gotta do. So you fight, and that's how you build your little reputation and everything. And then when you get to the adult side, it's less of that going on, but it starts to get a little bit more serious. So now you're starting to get into it with more officers. Well, when you go back to the adolescent dorm, in adolescent dorms, the officers, they fuck you up for nothing. You have a fight with another dude, they're gonna fuck you up and him up when it's all over. It doesn't even matter, right? It doesn't matter who started, it doesn't matter whatever. When you get to adults, it's more dudes fighting back. It's more serious shit. It's more people getting cut. It's more people getting stabbed. So you start to tailor your behavior to the big boys, right?
So, talk to us about the mindset that you had to have while you was incarcerated.
So when coming from the hood, being a dude that was in the street, the main thing you thinking about is I'm not gonna be a bitch, right? That's like literally that's my mindset. Not I'm gonna fight this case, I'm gonna get out. Is I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to make sure nobody treats me like a bitch, right? Or nobody punks me, or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's just all about getting your name up, getting your, you know what I mean? Building your rep, whatever. Just doing whatever you have to do because dudes gonna come in that from the hood, or dudes are already there that's from the hood.
Yeah.
You can't have dudes going back. Like that was the fucked up mind state that I spent those years not even like super focused on my case. It was more so just about being in there and just continue to hold it down, right? Which is a fucked up mentality now that I think back on it, but in there, that's what it is.
Because they go by a different set of rules, so
Right.
you gotta live by their rules, or you won't make it. In most cases, some people get murdered in prison.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's crazy, so it's a funny thing. So it's a cliche. Like a lot of people say, yo, I gotta do what I gotta do to survive in there. The fact of the matter is, like 90-something% of the people are gonna get out of prison, right? You're gonna get out. It's how you made it in there is gonna determine, it is what people really think about, right? Did I make it in there? People just disrespecting me whenever they could or whatever, or did I make it in there with a level of integrity, a level of respect, from that sense, from a gangster standpoint, or from a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of shit. For me, my shit changed over time. So in the beginning, it was all about getting my shit, getting my name up. Over time, it took some years. It took a lot of years. I tell everybody. Shit. It took me like, I want to say, out of the 14 years I spent, like the first 6 years, I was just still there. Like I was still like, in my mind, there was nothing gonna stop me from coming home and getting at dudes I still have beef with. Still, you know what I mean? There was nothing. You couldn't tell me shit.
Yeah.
Right? Even though I had calmed down, I was to the point where I didn't have to fight anymore and do all of that shit. I was good. But in my mind, there was no way I was not gonna be similar to the person that went in there.
Did you ever spend time like in the box?
Oh,
And
yeah.
how long was the longest time you spent in the box?
The longest time I spent in the box was, I want to say, 5 months.
5 months?
Yeah,
What was that
so-
experience like? Like when you was in there, what did you think about while you were in there? I mean, I spoke to different people and everybody have a different experience, you know, being from where we from or whatever. People say, oh, you know, because a lot of places, they don't let you do nothing in there.
No.
You can't read, you can't do, you could barely, I think you could write when you're in the box, but you could barely do that. Like they give you paper and pencil here and there.
Right.
So what was that experience like? And what did you think about while you were in there?
So it's crazy. So when you're in prison and people, you know, you're living abnormally, even, and then you become used to it, right? That abnormal.
Yeah, it becomes the norm. The
It
abnormal
becomes the norm,
right?
And that's a lot of what we go through when we live in the hood. The abnormal becomes the norm, right? So in there, it's even magnified. So while you're in the box, yeah, you don't like that shit. That shit gets, you know, people are always yelling back and forth on the gate and shit like that. But you find a sense of calmness in that solitude, at least for me, right? But that's some abnormal shit, right? Like you're literally locked in a cage in an hour for 23 hours a day. The hour that you're out, you're in was basically can be described as a dog kennel, right? It's way smaller than this room, and it's literally a gate.
Ew.
It's a gate. It's a cage.
And what do they do with
This is
that?
the outside.
That's your recreation.
Yeah, you get
You
to
sit
walk
in there.
around in another. They put you in another box.
Yeah.
Basically.
Is it like outside?
Yeah, it's outside.
No, it's outside.
Oh,
It has-
so that's
yeah.
where you could just be outside getting air and you
Just
just walk in
getting
a
air.
circle in a little baby box.
Yes,
Oh.
you're in a dog kennel, right?
That's disgusting.
Yeah, that shit is disgusting, but you find like a sense of peace in that because now you're just getting away from the. All right, let me just go take a cool down. Like I'm good. I've been wilding. I've been doing whatever, you know, fighting and cutting or whatever. Let me just take a little break. All right, now I'm out the box. Now it's back to the regular. Especially if you get somebody to smuggle you in some smoke, whatever. Like you chilling. You know what I mean? But you don't know the long term effects that shit is having on you.
Yeah.
Right. That shit is fucking you up. Inside.
Some people start to talk to themselves. Like I knew this dude, that was locked up and he was in the boxes. I think that was the hardest bit he did, even though it was like I think anything over 6 months in jail, maybe even I think that shit.
A day, a second in that
Yeah,
motherfucker
it's
is bad.
more. So he did like a couple of years and he came home and he was like kind of like I watched him pace back and forth and just talk to himself a little bit.
Right.
And I used to be like, it was like somebody used to talk to whatever, and I was like, why are you doing that? Like I was like, you realize you're walking up and down the room talking to yourself. And he was like, I don't know, I used to do that when I was in the box. And I was like,
became
oh, no.
that became part of his norm.
Yeah,
Right?
and I was like, that's you look
probably,
crazy.
But
that's
then
how
again,
he did probably to calm himself down and to think about certain
That's
things.
probably
But that,
how he got through his day.
Yeah.
To pace back and forth and talk to himself.
yeah,
so.
but that was crazy.
I heard a lot that people, and I haven't heard, I watched a few documentaries where other people that have been in prison, Rikers and upstate, have said like basically the box is made for you to go crazy. And at a certain amount of time, you can't help but to actually lose your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
So they changed. So because of that, and that's true.
The Khalid Browder thing, I seen that.
Right.
I seen a few other like Rikers things that they did.
So what they started
Yeah.
doing upstate, right? Like
Yeah.
so when you go to the box upstate, it's double bunked, which is 2 people in one cell.
Yeah.
That shit. So that was their way of fixing. All right, you're right. Being in a cell by yourself, all by yourself is crazy. You know, for all, especially upstate, you might get months or years in the box,
yeah,
depending on
you
what
could
you
get a long
did.
time in the box.
You cut somebody, you know, you're gonna get about a year and a half, 2 years in
Yeah.
the box.
Yeah.
By yourself, all right, that's too much. So we're gonna double bunk this shit. We're gonna put 2 people inside the same size cell. We're just gonna add a bunk. We're gonna add a bunk on top of that one, and we're gonna watch y'all sit there and kill each other. Cause that's what's gonna happen.
Definitely.
Right? Because you got a motherfucker that's in there that is there all day long. You don't know this dude from nowhere. If the police really want to be on some shit, let's say you banging, they'll purposely put you in there with somebody from a
Yeah.
different gang. They'll put you in there with booty bandits, with a dude that's just stuck in a box that fucks other dudes. Like, you know what I mean? And
Oh no.
I was gonna
We'll
ask
put
you.
you in
I was
there.
gonna ask you, that's real too then?
Yeah, that's
it's
real.
real, but it's rare, right?
Yeah.
In New York,
Okay.
dudes ain't really getting raped no more. One thing about gang culture and a lot of the different organizations and religious groups and things like that in prison have the prevalence of that has cut down on the booty bandits, right? Dudes that's just raping dudes. They've cut down a lot. A lot of them get cut up or stabbed up or whatever because there's groups now. But it happens.
Damn.
It's rare, but it happens. Most of the time, though, it's willingly. Or most of the time,
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
Yeah.
I heard that, like, dudes be with that shit.
yeah, they be with it. They be
You know
with
what I'm
it.
saying?
Or a dude will get, I don't want to say coerced, but it's kind of coerced. A dude will start looking out for him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And be like, listen, man, I'm taking care of you. I'm keeping dudes off your ass. I'm keeping you with smoke. I'm keeping you with everything. Like, what's up?
Or protecting you too.
Yeah, like,
sometimes
yo,
people go in there,
let's
they're
go.
not really made for jail. So
Yeah.
you got somebody that is gay and they made for it, and they probably have a name or whatever, and they go under them or whatever. You also have a lot of nasty ass undercovers in there too.
Oh yeah.
Because when I used to go to Cannon in Pennsylvania, it was a guy on the visit floor. He had a whole situation going on in the back with some other dude that dressed like this is what it was. That was back there dressed like a female and like used to grow his hair out and things like that. And then on the visit floor, his girl, whatever, wifey or whatever, used to be on the visit floor with him. And then the dude I was talking to, he was like, yo, great, that nigga right there gay. He was like, he got a whole whatever back there. Everybody knew. And I didn't want to tell her because I'm like, I don't know this girl from a whole one. And sometimes, honestly, some females be with it. Like, I saw a documentary on TV that some females accept their man
Being gay.
because they don't see it as gay. They think that if
Oh, when they're in prison, you're saying?
in prison and out,
Oh,
like you
damn.
have some of them that it was, I don't know the documentary name, but it was something where it was a guy doing
That's
something with some.
weird shit.
I'm
man.
telling you, it was something where a guy was a porn star. He was a gay porn star, and his wife accepted it because she said that's his job. But that's off topic or whatever. That's just
weird.
crazy.
That's another level.
Yeah,
But for you to,
that's weird.
But yeah, they put you in a booty bandit box too. You saying where
Yeah.
another dude that's on some, you
Yeah.
gotta basically kill this guy. more or
Exactly.
less.
Yeah. Or you might, because they're gonna feed you a little to nothing, right? While you in there, your trays are gonna be small. You're gonna get skinny when you go to the box. Obviously, I ain't been to the box. It's not
Knock you out, man.
But so you might just get a dude that's just tight and be like, "Yo, listen, I'm gonna eat your fucking food, right?" What you like? So now you lock in a cage with him. Somebody's gonna get hurt, and it's just your hands. Y'all probably ain't got no weapons. You might, but more than likely you ain't got no weapons. So now you just gotta do what you gotta do while you in there. You gotta hurt him enough to where they come and get they come and get both of y'all. You go
To another box.
you'll go to the infirmary too, just to make sure they want to look at, they're gonna put you under investigation or whatever, and he's gotta go to the hospital. Like something has to happen to get y'all away from each other. Yeah.
So, while you were in there, what programs did you do? Like, what type of schooling or extra things you did to kill time? What did you do?
All right, so for me, there are mandated programs while you're in there, right? You got to do anger. If you come in there with just a violent case, right? You got to do
Anger management.
anger management type thing. If you come in there with a drug case or I told them that you ever did drugs, you got to do a drug program. Those programs don't do shit for you.
Yeah, I know.
Honestly, they
They
do
really
nothing for you. The way they're facilitated is just everybody knows you just gotta do this shit because you're mandated to do that shit.
Exactly.
The programs that work in there are the volunteer programs that you have to want to do, right? Because I was in Sing Sing, and Sing Sing is one of the few prisons that still have college. I was able to go to college. I went to prison. I had a GED. I was able to go to college. I was able to get my bachelor's degree. I was able to do a lot of other programs that helped me out today. Public speaking, I was able to do. I took everything. Like I was in a position where I didn't have to take any of that shit because, like I said, I was coming home anyway. I didn't have no parole board or anything like that. A date was there for me to come home, no matter what, as long as I didn't catch another case. I did all this shit because
you wanted to.
I wanted to, and I always tell people when you go to prison, you're not sorry that you committed the crime, right? You're sorry you got caught. Right? So you have to, there's a healing process that you have to do. And there are certain programs in there that help with that healing process where you got a bunch of men that are just in a circle that are talking real shit. Right?
About their case, why they
about
get in, why they in there.
It's just about life in general, how this shit doesn't mean what you think it means, right? That lifestyle doesn't mean shit in the real world. Right? It gets you nothing. Your rap, that shit means nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially when you wasted so much time in there.
Right. And so, you know, being able to be in like certain programs, AVP, Alternative Violence Program, I did a program where it wasn't Scared Straight, it was called Youth Assistance Program, where we would get like at-risk youth to come in there. They might already be dealing with cases or be going to court or just be acting out in school and shit. They would come in there and we would talk to them, right? I was able to, I had to audition for the shit. Like, it was real, like,
That's dope.
Yeah.
like it was about 10 or 12 of us that did the program. And we would just sit there and really talk to them, mentor them, give them a voice, and let them know this is the real. I ain't here to scare you, because that scaring shit don't work. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what you see on that TV. If you go to Scared Straight and you went back out and didn't do what you was, that shit that you was doing, you wasn't really living that life anyway.
Exactly.
Right? You wasn't, there's nothing you could have told me at 15, 16. You can scare me all you want in here because I know I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, like I'm leaving.
I'm really not in jail. Like I'm going home after this.
Like yeah, you can come in here and take my sneakers and do all that shit. That shit don't work long term, except for kids who really ain't living that life. You know what I mean? They ain't really doing that shit. But when you really in that shit, you hustling and you carrying guns and you shooting and you doing all that shit, it takes a motherfucker that been there, that's showing you this is what you get. This is your gangster's paradise right here. Dead or in jail, and this shit is real.
A lot of people in the circle that you're speaking of, did some of them have regrets when they were speaking about what they did? Did any of them have regrets?
Yeah, and a lot of them have regrets because most of the time the situations unwarranted.
Did you have any regrets?
Eventually, I did.
Yeah.
Right in the beginning, no. I just regretted getting caught. I regretted not doing what I did because I was still in that mind state. And that's just what I know. Like I said, the abnormal is normal, right? Being one of those type of dudes, you just know eventually. All right, that's just part of the game.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to get my name up. Bro was trying to get his name up. I just happened to come out on top. And that's the way I was thinking at that time, right? Now, it's fucked up. 18-year-old kid lost his life, right? For no reason. For some dumb shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely dumb shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel bad about it now. It took some time to get there.
Yeah.
Right?
Maturity
It took some time to get there. It took some time to get to the point where I don't feel resentment for the people who testified against me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because when my case happened in front of his peoples, his family. I felt resentment for them. Niggas is supposed to be street niggas. They gonna sit there and tell. But what am I talking about? That shit is.
It goes back to what you said. Like all that shit don't mean anything. Like maybe he might have been in the street, but his family is regular civilians.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So they don't owe you anything, especially in the streets. You understand what I'm saying? So that can be like a hard pill to swallow. Like once you come to the realization, like yo, I fucked up. Like I fucked up. Like you understand what I'm saying? So yeah, it's crazy.
It is. So who was your biggest support system while you were in prison? Like who supported you? Who you feel like still kept in contact with you?
Well, my biggest support always was my grandmother.
Yeah.
Right from day one. My grandmother, and we know each other. You know my grandmother, like you know what I'm saying. So you know how she is.
Yeah.
She's always been my biggest support. Right. I've had my mother, my father. Even though I didn't see him as much, we were always talking to each other, and I had very few. Some of my siblings, some of them, but I have very few friends. You were one of the friends who kept in contact with me, right? Who actually wrote me, who came to see me before, right? That I remember when you used to write, you used to always send me quotes, right? And I used to find quotes and write you back, just little small shit. Never no money, never no, you know what I mean? Come up to Canada to come see me or some shit. Never none of that type of shit. But it's just shit that really matters. People that are true friends. And when you get in those type of situations, you realize that it's not. Actually, a couple of my dudes came to see me in the very beginning. A couple of them stayed in contact with, like my grandmother, if she needed something.
Yeah.
She would she can call them. But when you live in that life, me personally, I didn't expect them to.
Yeah.
Right? It would have been great, but I know how it is. And thinking back, now it's like I probably would have been that same motherfucker, right? Had I still been in the street, still doing what I would have been doing, one of my dudes got locked up. I would like to think that, I'm a real loyal person, because I am. I'm a real loyal person, but chances are I probably would have been that same dude, right? It's a good chance, because you're just so wrapped up in your own shit. Most of the people who stayed in contact with me were females that mostly I didn't have relationships with, right? Which was the craziest shit. Females that we were just cool, right? And they kept it all the way official, because y'all are real friends, right? Y'all know how to be real friends to each other. Well, I don't know about to each other, because y'all be wilding.
Yeah,
right? Y'all know how to be real friends to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
y'all really do. And with dudes, we just be caught up into our own shit. You know what I mean? And I don't have no hard feelings for anybody. Like, any dudes that, they keep in contact with me. That just is what it is. Like, I don't feel no sort of way about that type of shit.
So, after being incarcerated for so many damn years, goddamn, how was it? It is. How was it adjusting? Because when you went there, we ain't have no Instagram, we ain't have no touchscreen phones. We had still. What phone did we have? We had beepers. Nextels, the chirps.
I went to prison in 2003. So we had.
Did the Razor even come out then?
Nah, I don't think it was. It was still like 3-ways and shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
so we didn't have that. So how did you feel when you came home?
Oh, so real quick.
You recently just came home.
I came home in 2017.
Yeah.
End of 2017. So it's been a little over 2 years. I've been home now. But one of my other biggest supports that came along later was my wife. Right. I wound up meeting my wife within my last 5 years of incarceration, right? I was on like year 9 or so. I met her, and she became, at that point, my biggest support, right? Besides because my grandmother was getting older, and she couldn't continue.
Because she was doing a lot.
She was doing a lot.
I'm going to see my baby.
She was doing a lot.
I'm going to go spend the weekend up there and cooking everything. Yeah.
And
so
me and my wife, we met through another friend, through my friend and his wife, and we met, and we just hit it off quick. We got married. I was fortunate enough to get trailers. She already had our oldest daughter when we met. She was 10 months old. And then we had a baby while we was in there on the trailers.
What's trailers?
So trailers are they're conjugal visits, right?
Oh, okay.
It's a program. As long as you stay out of trouble, which is another shit that keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah.
You're
You want some of them
able.
with JJ's.
Exactly. You're able to spend 2 days basically, in like a little cottage with your family members, with your immediate family.
That's dope.
Your wife or your mother, your
Grandmother.
right, like every few months or whatever, right? So we wound up having our second daughter there, and when on our last trailer, she got pregnant with our son. So I came home, she was 5 months pregnant. Yeah. So now that
that was good that you was home to see your son being born.
Right, that was well good. It was great. There were certain things I didn't need to see. But
of course.
How
you talking like that? You was in prison. There's certain things you need to see.
Yo, that shit was traumatizing. Like I was literally. I don't want to get too much over topic, but literally, I'm in the delivery room, and I'm tired as shit. I'm keep nodding off of shit. She mad as shit to this day about that shit. I keep nodding off in the delivery room. She was there for a minute, like,
I got 3, so I know.
I'm sitting there nodding off, so it's time. She knows when the baby's coming. All the nurses and all that come in, and I got pinned, like in a spot where I couldn't move, and I had the direct line of sight to this little dude coming out. I was like, I didn't need to see this shit, but I couldn't turn away. Shit was like one of those just weird. You don't want to see it, but you couldn't turn away. So, but it was beautiful though.
But how was it adjusting to like different things? Okay, we know you did that in there, so ain't no adjusting to getting the pop pockets.
Right.
But how was it adjusted to come home seeing these different gadgets? Seeing Instagram, Facebook, because I think when you got out there, we had MySpace.
No.
I know they had the phone. Over the phone, it was like you didn't even get
that.
that.
No, so over the phone, it was the loop, the Brooklyn raving,
and people would know your voice too. Like
shit.
you be on the phone, people would know your voice. They'd be like, "Is that Sabrina from Plaza?" Like get the phone on the phone. I'll be hanging on the phone like, But so coming home to Instagram, Facebook, how was that? Like, how was it? How long did it take you to use
how was the adjustment when you came home?
So It was a little while before I actually started with social media. So I was able to use computers and shit in there, right? They have computers, everything. There's no internet connection or anything like that. So I really learned how to use like applications real well. Like, I studied that shit. So that way when I come out and I can go get a job, be like, yo, no, I know this shit for real. Like I can really do this shit. But with social media, I was just like, damn, it took me forever to actually post a picture.
Yeah, I was wondering why your shit said 0 foot. I'm like, why you post no pictures?
Because I'm just like, I didn't grow, even though that's our era, I didn't grow up in that shit.
Yeah.
I was away for all of that shit. So just having that natural, all right, some shit happens, let me post this picture. Or let me even take this fucking picture. Right? Like it took me a long time to remember, like, yo, I actually have a camera on my phone. Like,
to take a picture.
And that shit sounds crazy, but I was living in prehistoric times in there. Like shit was crazy.
But they had phones in there too. People used to sneak phones in there.
Yeah, people used to sneak phones and shit like
you
that
just
in
didn't use
there.
it.
Yeah, I damn sure wasn't posting a picture. Like, you know what I mean? I wasn't posting a picture while I was in there. I wasn't gonna be one of them dudes. You know what I mean?
So how about like because you missed so much, like you missed like prom and different things like that.
Well, no, I was home where I could have went to the prom, but I dropped out of high school, right?
Yeah.
And then I went to Job Corps and I went to Brooklyn Job Corps, and I got my GED. That type of shit I was never even thinking about. Right?
How about partying? Like, did you come home? Did you feel like I should at least go to a little club or something just to see how it is?
So
did you miss that?
That was the shit I told myself, and I still hold that. I'm never doing it.
Okay.
Right?
Why?
Because before I went to prison, so the whole situation when I went to prison started at a party. Right?
Oh, okay.
Then I
That's
started
true.
getting into other situations
At parties. Yeah.
That shit is a fake life.
Yeah. And I was
a fake life.
I was fake clubbing, with fake IDs and shit, and paying bouncers to get in the clubs while I was out of town and shit like that. So I did like shit. I've been in strip clubs and shit like that at a young age, at ages where I shouldn't have been
in there. Yeah.
in that shit.
Before you got locked up.
Before I got locked up. So now when I came home, the worst thing I think people try to do when they come home is try to make up for the time that they missed. That shit is gone.
Yeah.
that shit is a wrap. That shit, like, you can't make up for that. My whole shit was, while I was in there, was preparing myself to not be the person that went in there, right?
Yeah.
To leave out a different person
really
and leave
changed.
out with skills and leave out with a mentality that's completely different than when I went in there, right?
Mhm.
So having that, no parties and shit like that. Now I go to family shit.
Mhm.
You know, my thing is about living now, cause I realized in just talking to people that, you know, didn't live that type of life, or, you know, people who stayed out here this whole time, I didn't do shit.
Mhm.
Right? I felt like I was young, I was doing shit that I ain't had no business doing. Oh, I'm living a life, but no, I really hadn't did shit. Hadn't been nowhere, hadn't really done nothing. So now it's just about having experiences, and because I have a family, just doing shit with them,
Mhm.
right?
Spend time with your family.
Spending time with my family. My wife spent 5 years with me in there, you know, giving her time. You know, I had to give her time. It's having my kids, giving them their time, and they take a lot, because they bad as shit. You know what I mean? But giving them their time, and then, you know, other family members, and just doing shit for myself to really to fix what was broken,
Yeah.
right? Because, you know, in there you see people lose their mind, literally,
Yeah.
lose it.
Mhm.
Talking to yourself, I seen way worse. I seen dudes flyest niggas. I really gotta stop saying that word too. The flyest dudes in there, you know, when they was home or even when they was in there, they just lose it. They just snap. Like, the shit gets to them, and they just snap, and they start to just deteriorate. Like, their mind,
Mhm.
like, so watch somebody's mind just literally just go,
Mhm.
and they stop taking care of themselves, they start talking to themselves, they start having paranoia,
Yeah.
and they
It's the
can't
things you go
function,
through in
right?
there.
And then they start taking medication after that, and then
And
next
it's
thing you
over.
know, they somewhere drooling or some shit, you know, walking to the medication line, then nowhere near the person that you knew
And there's really no help in
5
that.
months ago.
Yeah.
This is like off topic a little bit, but it's really no help for mental people in there either.
No.
Because I feel like the officers take advantage,
Mhm.
people around them take advantage, and it's really fucked up,
Yeah.
honestly.
It's people that should not be in there.
That's there, and those are the ones, to me, 9 times out of 10 are the ones who lose it, because they already know they shouldn't be in there. They really not meant for that.
I mean, see, here's my thing. I feel like they can fix the prison system if they do more of what you spoke about earlier, as far as like the programs. Like, do something productive. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Instead of just having 100 dudes just in one whole facility and one guard, and you just letting them walk around doing whatever they're doing.
Mhm.
Like, I was watching this documentary. This was probably like a couple years ago. It was like a prison, and I might be mistaken, but I think it was like in Sweden, right? They said that they have the cleanest prison in the world. Like, it don't even look like a prison. They have a facility that's built like it's a real kitchen, but it teach the inmates in there how to cook. Then they have another shop for carpentry. Like, you can be a carpenter inside there. I mean, of course with supervision, because you're
tools
using
and everything.
these tools and things like that. But my point is this: I feel like if you gave them something to where they can put their mind to that was productive, they can come out and be more productive. But if you telling them in there that they ain't shit and you treating them like animals, a lot of times, and a big percentage of those people are gonna come out like
I agree with
animals.
that to an extent, but then again, you gotta remember, you got a lot of racist motherfuckers working in there.
Yeah.
So even, and people who really, just because I dealt with somebody in there before, and I used to go visit friends, family, and my ex or whatever, it's just that you really, it's so many things you could think of, and it's true, and it's good things to think of, and it could be possible, but you gotta fix the people who work there. That's the top thing you gotta fix too, because you got people who just want to be assholes for no reason. You got people who sit there and look for any little thing. If they don't like you as an inmate, they will look for the people that's visiting you to stop your fucking visits. They will find any, and I done seen it happen, they'll find any little thing. So they make it hard for you to even, it's just crazy. It's just so crazy. But, so after you came home, whatever like that, and transitioned into the real world, you have your family, you have your kids, you have everything going on. was it hard for you to find a job? Did they offer like programs that's really help? Because I know a lot of programs they offer. Like I think what's the program? I can't even think of the top of my head. The Hope program, I think it is. So something like that. I don't know if they offered it to you, but I know people that were locked up in the feds, they get something called Hope something. I forgot the whole name of it. But do they have programs where those programs really help you find a job, or is just something you have to go to because you just came home?
So you definitely have programs you have to go to. But one thing about New York City, because things are a lot different upstate New York and then Long Island and things like that. New York City has a ton of programs, right? New York City has a lot of opportunities for you to be employed, coming home from whatever amount of time, with most charges, except sex offenses, right? If you have a sex offense, you barred from a lot of shit.
Yeah. You can't drive a bus, can't drive a school bus, can't work in a school, can't own a daycare. None of that.
Like I don't
You can't
necessarily feel bad for them. Not to say not, and it's weird that we put crimes on pedestals, like and certain shit is like levels. It's all fucked up.
Yeah.
But in reality, most people with sex offense crimes, like shit has shown, like they have a real sickness in them, like, and that shit doesn't go away. A lot of people with violent felonies that have done, like, a lot of studies have shown, like, that have done, like, I think over 10 years, most don't go back to prison.
Yeah.
Right? Most people that have done 10, 15 years do not go back to prison. It's the dudes that do a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, they back and forth.
Even 6, I know people
you know
who
what I
like
mean?
5, 6, they go back.
They always back and forth. When you get smacked with that, when that shit really hits you and you like, yo, you about to spend half of your life in prison. Like, I went to prison at 17. I got 17 years. Like, I only did 14 of them. Like, and they tell you, listen, here goes half of your life. Spend that in this box. Right? That shit, you know, puts you in a different mindset. Like, even if you still got a lot of that negative shit in you, when you get out, that's another thing people don't realize. When you get out, you living like in a state of fear, man, because you do not want to go back, and you know any little thing while you on parole can send you back.
So that goes to cutting certain people off too. Like, do you feel like when a person comes home, they have to cut? Like, I mean, 9 times out of 10, those those friends are not like really around like that anyway. But sometimes some people like to keep those type of people around for whatever reason. They go back to the hood. A lot of people don't have nowhere to go, so they go back to where they started. So, do you think it's like important to kind of like do other things when you out to get away from those type of people in the environment?
Yeah, it's important to expose yourself to people that have a different mindset. Or if you came home with the mindset that I'm gonna change, you need to be around people that are like you.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, a lot of the people that I'm really close with are dudes who did time. Right. But they're dudes who did time that are therapists, that run programs, that do all types of shit. Like, these dudes, you know, travel across the country doing speaking events and things like that. Yeah, they did time, but they showing you really what you can do after. Yeah. Right? It's not about being with dudes. If you still in that life, I'm gonna sit there and talk to you. I'm never gonna cut you off, right? I'm gonna sit there and talk to you because I'm trying to get you over here, right? To realize, yo, that shit ain't what's up. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we're not gonna be chopping it up and going out and hanging out. You know what I mean? We're gonna talk in a sense that I'm trying to help you get out that shit that you went, right? But it's very important to be out of. If you can, get out the hood. Yeah. If the hood that you in, even though I came home, I was living in the projects, right? But I was living in the projects uptown. Right, I'm from Brooklyn. I ain't never lived uptown in my life, but it was different, right? It was, it's not my hood, so I have no connections to people that are there. I have no beef or whatever. Like, you know, it's best to get away from that situation so that you can really fully. You don't got people bringing up who you used to be all the time,
or looking for you, Do you what are some good programs that people could get involved with when you come home?
So a lot of the good programs, there are definitely programs like Exodus, Transitional Community Uptown, in Harlem, Fortune Society, Osbourne Association. These are programs where you can go there, get your therapeutic services because you need it. I don't care how much time you do. I don't care how normal you think you are.
Put that on for you guys that's watching and listening. We're gonna put that in the bio.
Right.
Those programs.
Like, you're gonna need your therapeutic because you do any amount of time, especially a significant amount, you have some things that's wrong with you that you need healing, right? So you need to get that therapy. You need to get into those sessions where you're really opening up and getting that shit out and letting people who are thinking rationally let you know that as normal as you think you are, that shit you talking about ain't rational.
Personal, what were some of the things you had to kind of like realize, damn, I gotta break out of this?
I had to realize, what I realized real early on is with family, especially my own family, they were already surviving and living without me. I'm a person that's implanting themselves into their world. You can't go in there acting like you Big Daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be in there. You gotta you gotta transition your way into their lives, and you can't just expect them to just, everything is not gonna revolve around you, right? But I learned that real early. It didn't take me very long. I learned that real early that, they're a well-oiled machine. You just gotta transition your way in there. And also, a lot of the shit that that I thought was normal, that I just it's nothing, yeah, this happened in the hood, this person got killed, or this person they went to prison, like, oh, it's normal. No, that shit is traumatizing. That shit is traumatic. And if you talk to somebody who didn't live in that environment, who's never been to that, they'll have a completely different reaction than we would, right?
Yeah.
Because they never lived in that shit.
Yeah.
And you have to realize
they have a different reaction. Like, even when I say where I'm from, like, if I'm at work or wherever I'm at, and they be like, "Oh, where you from?" I'm like, "They be like, East New York." Oh, I'm like, the fuck?
I get that a lot.
I'm like, "What's wrong?" They're like, "You living? I'm surprised you surviving." They kill people out there, and I'm like, but it's normal to me, and that's fucked up. It is. I'm like, I know a lot of people that got killed.
I tell people, like, yo, I'm from Cypress Hills Project. They be like, yo, how can you live there? I'm like, yo, that's my environment. Like, you learn how to live there. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I live there, but I don't know what's going on around me. Like, you pick up certain things. Like, I'm going to go over here, or I'm not going to go over there because they bugging over there, or, you know what I'm saying?
You just have to mix, too. You just have to mix. I'm not with people, other people beef. I'm not really a hood girl, like, whatever, but I will fucking smack the shit out of you still, because I still got that in me. But I'm not one of them ratchet girls that be outside that be like, I'm about to go fight Tanisha off the block, I ain't doing all that. I don't believe in games personally for me, because I'm not going to sit there. I'm not fighting people for you. Like, I don't even know why you in beef. I don't want to be waking up on my back. I don't know how game work, but I don't want to do the shit that I think they do. Like, and I know for a fact, if you're in the same game, you have beef with the same people. Because if you a friend, you got beef with the same people. Yeah. I don't got time for that. I got beef with my own people, and I'm gonna be fighting my own battles. So.
And one more thing that I had to realize was that your first reaction. So in being out here, when you live in that life, and being in there, violence is your first reaction, right? So I get into a confrontation with somebody. My first reaction is, I'm sizing you up, right? I'm sizing you up because once this shit gets to a certain point, I'm gonna take your head off. Right, I'm gonna knock you out. I'm gonna do whatever. Like, if I got a weapon on me, I'm gonna use it. Whatever. Like, that's your first reaction. Yeah. And so one of the things I had to get out of me was that shit ain't cool. That shit ain't normal. Like, that shit is not. You be at work, and I've had co-workers, because I work in environments where people don't know I've been in prison. Like, you know what I mean? I have worked in environments where people don't know I've been in prison. I work with families, because I have a degree, so I'm able to get jobs that a lot of people can't get. And it's like, nah, just because this co-worker of mine or this supervisor said some old foul shit or damn near cursed me out, my first reaction can't be
To hit him or do something.
To hit them or to just think about like that shit bothers you because that's your natural reaction. So you have to learn how to curb that shit.
It's like
go.
you've trained your brain to think like that for 17 years because that's like the only way that that was the best that you could survive at. Like if your mentality was that, I gotta keep these people off of me, or I gotta let them know that I'm not that type of dude that you could just do or say anything to. So when you have that mindset for X amount of years, when you come back to the real world, it's like damn, I can't think like that. But I've been thinking like that the past 17 years or whatever the case may be. So like I get it. It's not, you can't just switch that on and off. It takes time. Like you understand what I'm saying? So you can't just come out and just be like, I ain't worried about what that person's saying, because when you were incarcerated, right? You like, if this person says something or whatever, and I don't do nothing, then now it's like I'm soft, or maybe this person trying to sneak me when I go to sleep, or if I'm eating, I got my back turned. So I gotta be on it. I gotta be the aggressor in every situation to let them know like I'm not that dude to fuck with. You understand what I'm saying? So I mean, I get it from that standpoint.
I wanted to say, because I don't want to run out too much time, so I want to hurry up and cover everything really quickly. So, was it hard to find a job when you got out, or?
So for me, it wasn't that hard because like I went through these programs, and because of the way the laws have changed with the Fair Chance Act, where the ban the box and things like that. So these employers are not allowed to ask you about your felony convictions or your arrest until they offer you the job. Right, so they have to already make the offer to you. So you have to learn when you go through these programs. You learn how to formulate your resume. When you're a person like me who has my work experience is none before I went to prison, basically. To you have to use the skills and the jobs that you did in there and formulate your resume based
and I'm sure
off
they have
of those
programs
things.
that will help you do that.
Yeah, these programs, they definitely help you do that.
And
the
again,
program that you mentioned
name,
earlier in the show, right?
Yeah, and we're going to name them at the end of the show. And
They
also
definitely
put them in the
help
bio.
you. They have employment specialists who search for jobs for you, or they send you a lot of them send you to Workforce One and things like that.
Yeah, Workforce One, I heard is a good one.
Yeah. Most of the jobs I've gotten have been through Workforce One.
Yeah, so that's a good place to go to, guys. Workforce One. They have one downtown Brooklyn.
Yep, they have one
in East New York on Atlantic Avenue in East New York somewhere.
And they have one on Jamaica Avenue by the mall. I think it's on 167th, if I'm not mistaken.
It's somewhere around there.
Yeah,
160 something.
It's like one of the back blocks, so they do have them.
Yeah,
they have one in Far Rock on Mott's Avenue.
Yeah,
and the Bronx he just said. So, what in closing what advice would you give to people if they, God forbid, like, because you getting locked up so young, you were so young, when that happened? What advice would you give younger people out there that's probably in the streets, that's probably like, I would say doing something for somebody else or getting into something that really,
or just being in the streets, period, basically.
The advice I would give them is that, for one, there's gonna be a time in your life where you're gonna come to realize like this shit ain't what's up, right? Whether you're out there and you're in it and you just feel tired, you just feel worn down by it, or you're already in prison, or go fighting a case. But just know that shit that's being fed to you literally means nothing in the world. That shit ain't gonna feed your family forever, because whatever hustling you doing, you're gonna go to prison eventually. And that shit is a wrap, right? That shit ain't gonna have no retirement plan attached to it. That shit ain't gonna have,
no 401k, none of that.
None of that shit.
And it can't give you back your life.
And it's this faulty thinking. Like, that shit is a mirage. That life that you're living is not real life. That shit is not how most people live, and you're not special because you live that life. Because you have the ability to go out there with a gun and go shoot somebody, or you have the ability to go sell some drugs. That shit is not a cool trait to have, right?
Yeah.
That shit is just some shit that's gonna lead you to fuck up, and it's gonna hurt your family.
It's gonna lead you to your own demise.
It's gonna hurt.
You're gonna hurt
everybody around you.
Yeah, you're gonna hurt a lot of people around you that raised you, that really care for you. So.
So I just want to say, guys, you know, we're going to have all of the programs that you guys could look for if you're an inmate, or I should say an ex-con, not inmate, but an ex-con that, you know, just came home and you're looking for a job, employment, or even programs, like you said, that they have people that speak to you that can help get you into the right path in life. Or, you know, maybe numbers or a person you can speak to. We'll have that in the bio. And thank you, Say, for coming up here.
Thank you for having me.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
thank you.
Speaking with us or whatever. And he's just a perfect example of, you know, after being locked up or whatever the case may be, you can change your life around and, you know, get on the right path and everything like that. So thank you guys again, and this is a wrap.
It's a wrap. Peace.
Woo.